What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, Dudes Who Bet Daily, November 18, 2022. And Papa Dude, for a Dude Who Bets Daily, today was rough. I'm not going to lie. This is not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen from a sports perspective.
Well, and I'm in a huge slump. So everything I touch just turns to crap. So, yesterday, my bet, I was sweating the Tampa Bay Calgary because that was sort of a toss-up. Well, when that came in, I said, well, I'm going to get this one. And then Michigan, my God. They were – and you know what? They do that sometimes. They really do. They play so bad sometimes. And it seems like if they're getting challenged early, they struggle sometimes. I don't know how good a coach Juwan Howard is. They do play well in the tournament, though, when they get there. So that was a disaster last night. I didn't dream they'd get beat that bad.
I felt like every pick I gave out last night won except the best bet. So that was wonderful, too. I mean, we hit the under in the Avalanche game, the over in the Henry carries. We had Tulane. It's just but of course, go with this exact in the first aqueduct and miss the break. Let's start by recapping last night a little bit. Pretty big game in the NFL, just looking at the future part of this. I mean, Tennessee going to win the AFC South. They able to get the job done, winning 27-17. Green Bay looked pathetic. I mean, just to their offense, they score once in the first half. And honestly, I'm not sure they even deserve that. They just kind of threw it up after Rodgers was able to catch Tennessee with too many men on the field at the end of the first quarter. Can't really get anything going in the second half. Never really threatened. I mean, they moved the ball in the first drive, but after that, nothing. I mean, what do you make of this Green Bay team, Papa Dude?
Well, I tell you that I thought this was a very big game for them, coming off the Dallas win when they showed some signs of life. And in the NFC, where the playoff picture is so bad to get into the wild card, a win last night would have springboarded them a little bit. And you would have thought that they got some momentum to still maybe make the playoffs as a wild card, because probably a 9-win team is going to make it the way it's shaped up right now. But that was a huge loss, loss. I think we can almost bury them now. They would have to go, let's see, I'm doing the math here real quick, 5-2, I think, 5-1 the rest of the season to get to 9 wins. That I don't see that team being able to win 5 out of 6. Do you?
No, I mean, you could make an argument the offense is broke, but man, the defense looks busted too. I mean, Rob mentions it. Tannehill going for 330. He had not thrown for over 250 yet in the season, so that's not a good sign. They didn't really shut Henry down. They kept giving him, it seemed like only one time. There's one big play, 4th and 1, I think it was on the 5-yard line in the first half. They were able to stop him. Pretty much every other short yardage play he was able to eat. They just didn't look good on either side of the football. And like you said, there's no chance of winning that division. They've got the Vikings sitting there at 7-1 or 8-1, and so you've got Dallas at 6-3. You've got the Giants at 7-2. You've got the Seattle-San Francisco situation where both those teams probably have a good shot at making the playoffs. There's your 3 wild cards. You got to pass at least one of them. I'm not sure that they can, and it's going to be tough for them to be able to make it here after that loss.
And you got the Commanders in there too that's playing really well, and they're ahead of them. So I think they're done. I do.
Where does Aaron Rodgers play next year?
That's a good question. Does he have anything left? I'm sure. Well, I don't know. Would somebody take a shot at him at that money?
He won back-to-back MVPs. He's got something left. I think this is more of an effort than a talent problem right now.
It could be. Well, let's think about this a minute. Who? There's a lot of teams that need a quarterback.
Yes.
But who can afford him? I guess that's the way you look at it.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's San Francisco. Going back to California, he'd have to restructure his deal, but there's a way to make that work. And they have everything except a quarterback to win a Super Bowl right now. Probably have to give up Trey Lance, and you have to decide if you want to do that or not. But there is a route to him being in San Francisco next year, and I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up being the answer. Yeah, Tampa is another one where there's going to be money clearing up because of Tom Brady leaving, that you could end up in Tampa as well. So a couple different possibilities, but I would be surprised if he is a Packer next year. I think this has come to an end.
I think it is too. And I think it's time for the Packers to try to get something for him somehow, clear up some money and rebuild, because I don't think he wants to be there.
No, he does. It's going to be interesting to see if the Jordan Love era starts in the next couple of weeks as well. He's been sitting on the bench the last couple of years. It's time to figure out if you have a quarterback in Jordan Love or not, because that will tell you what you should get for Aaron Rodgers as well.
And if they bench Rodgers, he's done. That's it. He's not going to stand for that. He's not.
He will burn the place down when they bench him, because it is a when they bench him, not if. Because at some point, it's the right football move from an organizational perspective.
You have to. If you decide that he's not going to be there next year, you got to give this kid a shot to see if he can play. You have to. So it's going to really be interesting these next few weeks.
It's going to be a fun shit show over there in Green Bay. All right, you know what? We started out the show with 5 minutes to talk about last night's football game because there's not much to talk about today. But let's head over to a banger of a college football slate here, Papa Dude. We've got two marquee games going down. Friday Night Football. You've got the 1-9 South Florida Bulls heading into Tulsa. Facing 3-7 Tulsa. I don't even know what the heck they are. Tulsa's laying 14. They're awful, but I can't really make a case for taking South Florida here either. Can you, Papa Dude?
No, and you don't know what the attitudes of these two teams are. It's Friday night. It is freezing cold in Oklahoma. It will be probably 5,000 people at that game tonight. You know, who wants to go sit and watch that? Tulsa's pretty good at home, so you'd have to pick them. Because South Florida, surely to God, is going to freeze to death up here tonight, I would think, because it's cold in this neck of the woods. They're the Golden Hurricanes, by the way, the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. So,
of course they are, because those Golden Hurricanes always roll through Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to take Tulsa tonight. What's the spread? Like 14? Is that what it is?
14. Totals at 58, down from 60. I would lean toward the under if I played anything. South Florida's based off of EPA, 130 out of 130 teams on offense. Yeah. Tulsa's defense is the top 40. Their offense is pretty bad. It's like 98. So I could see these two teams just kind of not putting much points up or making mistakes. And you see long drives with field goals, things like that. 60 seems like a big total for two teams that just both suck.
Well, I think so too, unless turnovers get involved, somehow. Run back an interception, pick up a fumble, run it in, things like that. Other than that, I don't see this as very high scoring, especially with the weather the way it is.
I never thought I'd put this sentence together. The marquee game in the college football March slate is San Diego State heading into 2-8 New Mexico, who has not scored over 14 points all season. And San Diego State's going to be laying 14.5. The total 36 for this game. 36. I looked at this because I was like, oh, I'm going to play the under here because this is a great spot to play a team total under on New Mexico. I did 11.5. Their team total is 11.5 for this game, Papa Dude. Okay. Like, what do you do with that?
You don't. I mean, because San Diego State's offense is, it's not good. I don't see New Mexico score more than 7 though, really, but 11.5 is really low. It's really low. Terribly low because there's flukish things that could happen, but I don't know. I think you just stay away from this and try to find some basketball to watch or something tonight. Hockey, something. I don't know.
Now, to be fair, they have played. What is it? They've played 8 games, or how many games have they played so far?
10.
They've played 10 games so far this year. They've only gotten over 11.5 in 3 of those 10 games. So the under should be juiced as it is, which is just absolutely wild. So we'll see what happens here. I would lay it, I guess, but I don't really want to lay it on the road. Yeah,
I wouldn't go over. I don't think.
No, I wouldn't go over either. Maybe I'll look at some in-game action. Like maybe you can get under first half, under 3.5, something like that through the first quarter. Just specifically, just playing toward the under for New Mexico here, but it's just not wonderful college football games tonight. So. It's a night you could take off football, right, Papa Dude?
No doubt about it. I'm going to. I wonder if there's a bet somewhere where you can bet on how the over/under on the attendance.
I'll set it at 6.5.
I would not think there'd be more than 10,000 at New Mexico and more than 7 or 8 in Tulsa tonight.
It is going to be frigid as well. It's 34 degrees right now in the stadium in New Mexico. So it's not going to be a warm day either. It doesn't look like there's supposed to be any snow. Interesting. This has just got mentioned in the chat, so we'll pull this up here. Sylvain mentioned they're looking at 3 to 6 feet of snow in Buffalo. Fun fact of the week, if they got 6 feet, it would be more snow than either running back's height in the game. Both starting running backs, 5'7", 5'11". I thought that was pretty good. They have moved the game to Detroit, so it's in a dome now. Check your books. If you've already bet this game, it's moved over 100 miles, which means that a lot of books have now canceled your wager. So make sure you check back and see if you're going to bet it. Dome factor here, I think, makes a huge difference. I think it's an advantage Buffalo, to be honest with you. They've got the more talented offense. They can handle the turf better. So I think this is a advantage Buffalo here, having this game in Detroit.
Wouldn't you have loved to see this game played in Buffalo? Would that not have been cool? But of course, who could get to the game? You couldn't, there's too many things involved.
I'm with you, Papa Dude. Play the game. Come on. It's just let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let's have some fun with this. It would have been really interesting to see this Browns team who just wants to run the ball. There's Allen trying to throw it. It would have been a fun snow game.
I guess even in Buffalo, New York, 6 feet of snow paralyzes you. I guess 6 feet just stops you. It don't matter where it's at.
They could have pulled it off. I was surprised they didn't move it to Monday night. I thought that was going to be the result because you get the snow out of the way, you can get everything clear. Buffalo can clean up 6 feet in a day, no problem. And then you rip the game the next night, have a doubleheader on Monday night, give the people what they want. But we're headed to Detroit for this one. I think that Buffalo now is a deserving favorite over Cleveland because they should be able to move the ball pretty easily, and the total is going to jump up after dropping because of that snow there. So be an interesting Sunday there. Buffalo now getting a home game taken away from them, heading to the road. We've got one game on the ice. Let's talk about it real quick. This is Aaron's best bet of the day, so I'll throw it up right here. Actually, I got to put the banner together, so give me a second. But he's going to take the Kings here, minus 110. Interesting enough, all three of us on the Kings on the picks over at racingdudes.com. You get free picks for every sport every day. The Kings, I think, are a good spot here. They're facing the Canucks, who just aren't very good. And the Kings have started out the year well, going 11-7-1. Seem a little short on the line. I like the minus 110 here.
I do too. A sneaky good team right here. They're pretty good. They're pretty solid. And they've been playing consistently. And like you say, the Canucks are up and down. Sometimes it's hard to go into Vancouver and win, but I like the Kings a lot. They're sneaky good.
Yep. Hopefully they can pull it off, keep Aaron's record going. He's won last night. The Blues getting it done for him on his birthday. Man, they tried to blow that game. They were up 4-2 late in the third, and all of a sudden we're in a shootout. Now, generally not a good thing for Blues if you follow the team, but able to get the job done. So that is at least nice there. All right, Papa Dude, let's head over to the NBA. We've got a large slate of NBA games. I think this is probably where I took the longest to see if I could find a best bet before playing the horses. Best game of the night on ESPN tonight. You've got the Bucks heading into Philadelphia. Philly laying 1.5, total sitting at 212. Did you consider this game at all before picking a different one? What do you think, Bucks, Philly?
I did. I really looked at this a lot. I'm not sure I'm still not sure who's going to play for the Bucks. They've had injury problems. They might get the couple of guys back tonight, and they might not. And that kind of, made me shy away from this a little bit. And sometimes the Sixers really play well in big games at home. And they're well rested on top of that too, and they're healthy. And I think Embiid had 59 in his last game. Yep. He's not going to score 59 against the Bucks. But I almost took this one because I kind of think the Bucks, I know the Bucks are the better team. I'm just a little shaky on who's going to play in this game tonight, but I still would take the Bucks.
Yeah, I like the Bucks here. I think this Philly team is kind of broken a little bit. I realize Embiid, when he gets going, he is very good, but this Giannis matchup is a tough one for him on the defensive side. So I'll take the points of the Bucks, see if we can pull it off. Other marquee game, got the Boston Celtics 12-3 heading into the New Orleans Pelicans 9-6. Boston laying 2.5, the total 230. Boston's just been on an absolute roll. A 2.5 seems a little short here because I trust Boston right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And their defense is starting to get better.
They are on a roll. They're playing as well as anybody. And I looked at that game too, because sometimes, you go into a building and I believe it's the first game on a road trip, isn't it? I think it is. Or is it
for Boston?
Second? Yeah, for Boston.
Let me pull it up real quick for you.
I think it's the beginning of a road trip.
Second game. They won at the Hawks, 126-101 earlier this week.
Yeah, and you get into a road trip, and sometimes, you don't play as well. But they played great in Atlanta the other night, and there's no reason to think they're not going to play well in New Orleans. And the other thing is you don't know whether Zion's going to play or not. He's iffy. He's one of those day-to-day things every game. You just don't know.
You're just waiting for the injury. Celtics have ripped off 8 straight. 4 of the last 5, they scored at least 128 points. So that offense, like I said, absolutely rolling right now. When they're going on the offensive side of the ball, they are difficult to beat. I laid the 2.5 with Boston. We'll see what happens.
Here's another thing that's interesting. Just mention in a minute. What if he gets hurt again and misses the whole season like he's done? Would they finally just decide we're done with him?
The problem is they did a wonderful job building around him.
Yeah.
And you got to get something back from him. Honestly, I thought that was the best possible destination for Durant. That if you were serious about going after it, you get rid of Zion, you get Durant in the package, you try and keep Ingram, you try and keep McCollum, and all of a sudden you got a real contender down there, because Ingram has blossomed since he came over from the Lakers. So I think that you could have figured something out there if you wanted to move on from Zion. I think last offseason was the time to do it. It's going to be tough to get what I believe is fair value for him at some point this year.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's head over to the race of the day, Papa Dude. And this one we picked out, I don't know if you know this, we have got a massive $172,000 pick 5 carryover, late pick 5 at Aqueduct today. This is right smack in the middle of it. We picked this as the race of the day because I thought this was the toughest race on the late pick 5 sequence. You've got a race right before it. We got two clear standouts. You've got going to have a short price favorite in the last. This one, it's a turf sprint. We're going 6 furlongs. Pretty wide open. We've got a field of 10 here. The 11 and the 12 are both scratched. Papa Dude, who'd you end up with here in the 8th at Aqueduct?
Well, I settled on 3.
Okay.
And it's always interesting to see which one of these you down the tubes. Anyway, I do like the favorite, Giant Ghost. I like the horse. Not too much there to not like. Been very consistent, running well. Kind of try to figure out where to put him. Looks like, 3 starts back, he won at a mile. Then they jumped him up to a mile and 16th. Didn't run near as well. Then came back at 6 furlongs and won by 2. And he said 6 furlongs. I can't say that today. He's at that today. So I like him a lot. I kind of looked at the 6. Did you look at that one at all?
I looked at Phantom Smoke a little bit. There's quite a bit of speed in here.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be tough for anyone to go gate to wire. The 5 deep covers absolutely blitzes out of the gate. Yeah. And the 1 on the inside, or the 2 on the inside as well, bar 14 shows speed. I wouldn't be surprised if you've got a pretty quick pace up front. Not far now, the 7 also going to try and go gate to wire. And when you have all of those horses trying to go gate to wire, I think it makes it really tough for any of them to go gate to wire. So I think someone from off the pace is able to.
And 1A or Ghost Giant kind of does that.
Yes.
That's why. And then I like the 3 also, Frank Sard.
Yeah, I think the 1A and the 3, Ghost Giant and Frank Sard, are the 2 most logical winners here. Frank Sard looked awesome last time out, taking a step up here to N2X company after that N1X winner. Let me throw out one price at you.
Okay.
I think the 8 Battle Station is interesting here. One of the main reasons is because we are facing state-bred competition. Right. And this horse has been jumping in and out of open company and state-bred, only running state-bred races 3 times in his career, has a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 1st in those 3 efforts, including winning at this level 2 back. Now, that race was taken off the turf, but you have enough good turf sprint races that I kind of believe in him. I also think it's interesting that Jose Ortiz picks up this mount. And I think this is a horse that has the tactical speed to sit right behind the real fast speed and then take the lead top of the stretch. And then it's a question of whether or not the 1A or the 3 can run him down later in the stretch.
Yeah. So if you're going to bet a try, get him in there, right?
Yeah, I would include the 8. I think the 10 is a little interesting as well. But I think that he's kind of up against it from a pace perspective and a style perspective. So for me, I thought this was 1A, 3, 8. But it's an interesting race because singling the 1A or singling the 3 really separates you in this pick 5. And like I said, $172,000 carryover, and have over $1 million in this pool today. So it's a must-play pool. But you're biting your fingernails, man, if you're just playing one horse in this race, because it can get crazy here.
Yeah, and you said you've got in the sequence there are some heavy favorites, right?
The 7th race is going to be interesting. You've got 2 maidens I don't trust even a little bit in a 6-horse field that are both going to be sub 2-1. With 4 other bad horses in that race. Then the last race, Durkin's Call, the 1 horse is going to be sub 2-1 as well, be a pretty heavy favorite. And to kick the race off, the 5 horse is going to be a decent favorite. To kick the sequence off, the 5 horse is going to be a decent favorite as well. So you've got to try and find places to beat favorites. This is going to probably be the least singled favorite of the whole sequence. And I actually think maybe one of the more likely winners here from the 1A here, Ghost Giant.
Yeah. Now, do you think the horse will stay 5-2?
This one's tough. I do think you're going to get around that price just because of how big this field is. And like, I think the 6 takes money. I think the 5 takes money. I think the 10 takes money. I think the 3 takes money. So it's not a situation where it's an absolute standout. I think maybe you end up around 2-1 versus 5-2, but I think you're going to be in that ballpark.
Yeah. So is there a price somewhere that you think you can nail in this sequence?
The 7th race, I kind of like the first time starter, the 2 horse who's on the board at 12-1. I think that's a place where you can kind of take a shot. I also like the 8 horse in the first leg of the sequence, who's 6-1. So those are 2 places I'm going to be price hunting a little bit, see if I can get something home. I'm going to try and work out a ticket where I'm hitting the all button in the 7th, where you have on the morning line, I think it's a 6-5 and a 2, or 7-5 or 8-5 and a 2-1. Both have started multiple times in maiden special weights, and both have left something to be desired. Neither of them are the fastest horse in the race, so neither of them is going to make the lead and try and take a gate to wire. It's a recipe to get upset in a race. People are going to go too deep that you can try and separate yourself in the sequence.
Do they still have them at maiden special weights, or have they dropped them to maiden claimers?
Still at maiden special weight.
Okay, and that's a tough race anyway. So in this sequence, if you can somehow get to where you can hit the all button there, you got yourself covered in a race. You're not sure. Yeah.
And that's where I think you may be able to separate, right? Because if you can do that, then all of a sudden you're able to have a unique ticket versus a lot of the tickets you're going to see are going to have a single on the 4 or the 6 there, or they're going to just go too deep there with 4 and 6. I think if you can kind of get around just using those 2, even if you use 3 and you're trying to get a price home that you like, there's just a lot better ways that I think you can structure versus just going too deep there. And that's a mile race, $85,000 maiden special weight. And the 6 horse is 0-for-9 lifetime with 5 seconds, and the 4 is 0-for-6 lifetime with 2 seconds and 3/3. They don't like to win.
Well, yeah, don't you hate that in those kind of in maiden races where you see them finish 2nd and 3rd all the time?
Yep, and they don't. They're pack animals, and some horses don't want to be at the front of the pack, and that's
especially if they've run 9 times and they haven't got that win yet. It's really kind of a red flag.
It makes it tough, and you sit there and you're like, oh, the 6 specifically, who probably does make the lead if the 1 doesn't go, and if the then you're like, okay, well, this horse has been in the lead the last 2 times, probably should have won both those times. An even money favorite last time ends up running 2nd. A hard horse not to put on top based on the numbers, but a hard horse to trust if you're trying to play a ticket, you know?
Exactly.
All right, let's jump into.
I hate betting those maidens like that. I just hate. Especially when they got a big price, a low price. I hate betting those. I just hate it.
I love maiden races because I think they're where people make a lot of mistakes. So you get prices that you shouldn't get in a lot of horses.
Yeah.
This one is a race that I'm not excited to bet. I think it's a very, very, very tough race.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the best bets of the day here. I'll go first. I'm heading to Aqueduct. Race 2 just went off. Race 3 kicking us off next. I'm going to play a daily double. And this is going to be kind of similar to the one that we hit last week. Major scratch in race number 3. The 2 horse Built to Last was your 5-2 morning line favorite, and your speed of the speed. Well, guess what? There's only one speed horse left, and that is the 7, Foucault, who is going to be out front, switching to Jorge Abreu Barn, picks up Irad Ortiz Jr. I think the 7 goes gate to wire to kick off this 7th race daily double. And then we're going to head over to the 3rd race daily double with the 7. Then we're going to head over to the 4th race. And what's going to be, I think, the more difficult of these 2 to get home, $50,000 allowance. Your favorite's on the outside, out of sight. This is a $380,000 outwork horse that is first time in the Horatio de Paz barn, coming from Brad Cox. And Brad Cox could not get this horse going. They gelded it. Now we're coming back first time out. I just don't trust this one because he's gonna want to go to the lead from that 7 post. And you've got 3 other horses in this race who have as much speed. The 1, the 4, and the 1 and the 4. So 3 horses are going to go with the 7. I think the 5 horse Cafe is going to sit an absolute perfect trip here. You get Irad Ortiz up. You're adding blinkers. You're cutting back in distance, running into pace. I think it all plays out wonderfully for the 5, who's 7-2 on the board. So I'm going to play a 7-5 daily double. Aqueduct race number 3 is the best bet. Hopefully we can get a decent price on these 2. I think we definitely will not have the favorite in the 2nd leg. First leg, we probably will have the favorite, but shouldn't be too short of a favorite.
Well, let's hope we get it. We need one, don't we?
It'd be nice to pop a big one again. All right, Papa Dude, tell us about the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I'm like you. I searched and searched and searched. There's only one hockey game tonight, which is really weird. There's 500 college basketball games. I mean, I had to pick every one of them for the website. My God, it took me forever. And I'm going to stay away from that. And I'm going to go with Phoenix, which is a slight favorite on the road tonight in Utah. And I'm really playing the fact that I think Utah is starting to come back to the pack after a very, very good start for a team that's not much expected of. And they're struggling just a little bit. They're still playing all right. But I think Phoenix is better. The kicker is we don't know if Chris Paul is going to play or not. The last thing I read was there was first thing this morning, he wasn't going to play. Then I read something else where he might. And he's one of those guys that these kind of games he wants to play. So if he's able, I think he will. But I think Phoenix is better. I think they're starting to play a little bit better. And I just like them in this matchup tonight. I just don't think Utah is as good as their record. So I'm going to go with the Suns tonight. And we won't make a whole bunch of money, but hopefully we'll hit one. I need to hit one really bad.
I've seen Chris Paul out, so the -2 is with him out. It'll be if he comes back in, you're going to have a great number here because this thing's going to fly up to 5 or 6. I'm guessing if he comes back into the game. Look, they just beat Golden State at home without Chris Paul, so they're more than capable and more than deep enough to take care of Utah here, who's lost 3 straight. Going to try and right the ship, but the Suns are a tough team to right the ship against. Hopefully, we get the Suns home. Hopefully, get a sweep and get it going a little bit this week. Been a struggle here the first 2 days, Papa Dude.
Yeah, it sure has.
All right, let's recap the best bets, then head out of here. Papa Dude taking the Suns -2. Aaron, go to the Ice, taking the Kings -110. I'm going to take Aqueduct, race number 3. Daily double, 7 into the 5. For the week, we're 1-5. Not good at all. Down 520. For the year, we're up $659. Thank you very much for joining us here on Dudes Who Bet Daily. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern for an early college football kickoff. Good luck if you are betting the ponies or the sports. See you tomorrow.